Coming into it, it is CNL Kickoff season here in 2026, and we're jumping down to the lower bracket. That's right, it is playoffs time, looking for those coveted spots going to Salt Lake City, of course, off the back of what has been an interesting run so far through its inaugural season. The CNL has a number of teams still vying for that spot. 4 spots up for grabs in total, so there are teams still in this lower bracket that could make that miracle run, and we've already got our 2 upper bracket finalists sitting there waiting 2 days time. All gamers, Edward Gaming, going to be taking each other on in that upper bracket final, but down here in the lower bracket, Wolves Esports, One Coin, Tyloo, My Queen, King Zero Esports, and 4 Angry Men will have to make that lower bracket run to see who does join them through, and it is going to be a grueling run to say the very least, especially starting down here in that lower bracket. I'm Blue Panda, joining on the mic in a little bit will be Cthulhu, unfortunately, due to some timing issues. It was a very quick first series of the day. He should be with us very, very shortly, but having a look at the games today, of course, here in the lower bracket, we had our 9th, 10th place match. It was played on stream but without commentary. Titan Esports Club do get it done 2-0, but Leviathan getting their first rounds, not just here in the playoffs, but of the season entirely on the board. And look, to be fair, not only did they get rounds on the board, they got a handful of rounds. They got 7 in total, 7-4, 7-3 loss to Titan Esports Club. So look, it's something if nothing else for them, obviously coming into the tail end of this season kicking off. But looking forward to these games tonight, of course. And there you go, the bracket as it stands. An absolute monstering. All gamers making it through all but cleanly. They only dropped a single game to Wolves Esports, but they take down 4 Angry Men pretty cleanly, 2-0. Edward Gaming, much the same, a clean run through into that upper final, of course. But we head down to the lower bracket, round 1. Wolves Esports, One Coin, and of course Tyloo taking on My Queen tonight to see who join King Zero Esports and 4 Angry Men in the lower quarterfinals tomorrow. So it's going to be an interesting run of games to say the very least. There you go, our first teams on screen. One Coin, Ryder Rejoice, Gundam Future, Paul, and of course Wolves Esports, Arfeng, Cardi, CPK, Demos, and Recap coming through. It has been a bit of a tumultuous split for both teams, of course. Wolves coming through Group B in 4th seed, One Coin coming through in 3rd. Hasn't been the cleanest of runs to say the very least, but One Coin, for their money, have looked the better of the 2 teams, the stronger of the 2 teams, whereas Wolves Esports, it's really anyone's guess sort of where they find themselves ending up coming out of today, whether it is progressing through to tomorrow's games in that lower quarter, or if they're done, of course, for this season kickoff and have to look to the mid-season to potentially make a deeper run towards international events. And Wolves Esports, the numbers definitely skewed a little bit towards One Coin, but a team that has proven, if nothing else, they can get kills on the board and get a couple of rounds to boot. Depending on that map veto, of course, we'll see just how the landscape looks for this series. It could be an opportunity for Wolves Esports to set themselves up for a potential victory here. It's going to be a rough one, though, for sure. Both teams have a lot to prove coming into this playoffs bracket, both having been knocked down into the lower bracket early on in that first round. One Coin by 4 Angry Men, and of course Wolves Esports by All Gamers, 2 favourite teams coming into this competition. So it's going to be a rough road. There's no doubt about that. They're going to have to bring out all the stops to try and make this series a nice clean victory for themselves. And of course having King Zero to look forward to tomorrow night, who will be sitting, waiting, watching, making sure that they are well clued in on what these guys are going to be trying to bring to bear. But then you look at what's being played so far. A lot of play around the Snake in terms of those information gathering up as the Dockerby as well. Deimos seeing a huge amount of play, which unsurprising given the value of information in the current state of Rainbow Six Esports. I would imagine we're probably going to see much the same tonight. And confidence, if nothing else, and playing in that stage, that experience hopefully will carry them. Looking at the record so far, hasn't been the most spectacular one. Like I said, not been flawless by any stretch of the imagination. 2 victories for One Coin, and then 2 overtime losses. And then on the other side, 1 victory, 1 overtime loss, 2 regular time losses. Sorry, 2 regular season wins, 2 regular season losses for One Coin. And then, of course, for Wolves Esports, 1 victory, 1 overtime loss, and 2 regular losses in regulation. But you can see the stage set and ready as we look towards what could be a bit of a statement-setting game for these two, especially if the hopes for a Cinderella lower bracket run is to be on the cards. I know that there's a lot of pressure, especially the lower bracket forgs like Wolves Esports, Tyloo, King Zero, and 4 Angry Men being knocked down to this position, especially in the way that they were. They will be looking to try and come back, make a bit of a statement, because otherwise this could be one that they try to ignore, look to go next. But I mean, in terms of what's being played, we've seen a lot of Nighthaven Labs. In fact, 5 more times it's been played by any other than the next most popular map being Consulate with 8 plays total. Half of those being in the playoffs, so those likely to going to be the maps that we see at least the most throughout this playoffs run. Fortress, ironically, also making its first appearances through these playoffs brackets. So teams finally willing to dive on into it. So far, I mean, look, you look at the contests. The victory that Wolves got over all gamers in that best of 3 was an 8-6, so only just getting it over in overtime. The 2 losses they suffered, Nighthaven Labs, Consulate, both 7-2. So very decisive wins for all gamers for 1 coin. 7-4, 7-3. It's going to be interesting to see just how these 2 teams match up. But right now, it is taking a little longer than we thought. We'll throw it to a quick break. On the other side, hopefully, we'd look to jump into, obviously, map select and then game 1.
手一波，接下来让我们有请对阵双方登场。
And as teams look to take the stage, of course, they are going to be looking to bring their absolute A game, pulling out all the stops to try and get that 1 best of 3 over the line so they can keep progressing through that bracket. And you can see Mingaran of Oceania fame has been the man behind so many successful teams out of the Oceania region. Is now throwing his hat in the ring for the CNL with 1 coin. And this lower bracket run is going to come with his help, of course. He's got a lot of work to do. It is going to be a hard road. The Wolves Esports, their opponents coming into this match. Well, neither team really putting up the most stellar numbers. They are consistent middle-of-the-pack performers. Enough to really punch on through and get the tools done, or get the job done with the right tools, of course. And a lot of backing from this Wolves Esports organization. High hopes for a team of this caliber coming into the CNL and beyond the season kickoff. And see them ready, locked in, keen to get this one underway. But in terms of how it will play out, I mean, you can see a team like Wolves Esports able to take even a map off the likes of all gamers would likely tilt that scale in their favor, if only slightly. There you go on your screen. We are starting to see what this series could make its way into. A lot of ban prior around that Fortress, of course. Border as well. Consulate seeing a bit of love in the ban hammer and 1 coin as well, banning out the bank. But there you go, Bank, Clubhouse into Chalet for this best of 3. Consulate, Border, Lair, Fortress, Cafe, and Nighthaven Labs all banned out. And there you go. I mean, what a pick to start things off. Bank, such an iconic map in competitive Rainbow Six Siege. Clubhouse, the staple of the Rainbow Six competitive scene globally. And then Chalet, a map that has seen a decent amount of time across the global stage. To great effect, of course. And coming into Bank, I mean, a lot of those long angles that you can threaten. The Glaz, huge amount of prio. With a lot of these attacking sides, is probably going to see a decent pickup. Might even be banned out for a good portion of this game. Or the series even, looking at the maps that are in play. 61.4% ban rate on Ying, 48.6% ban rate on Glaz. And the defense, Kaid and Bandit, 62.9 and 41.4% respectively. So out of that breach denial going to be targeted away, especially going into Clubhouse Chalet, you'd imagine. But there are definitely positions on this Bank map where it is going to see utilization at the very least. If it's allowed through that ban phase, we'll have to see. As we look to get into it, Bank on the cards first. And there's a lot to do on this map. A lot of deep roam potential for those defenders, lurkers that can come out of strange and wonderful flank positions, if you're not prepared, can absolutely devastate an attack, but much the same if you go for a deep push, something like the knock down through the basement. This thing's a little bit hard as a defender, having to watch your back constantly. But we'll see what the game plan is. How those bans, in terms of the operators, start to round out the battlefield. Excitement nonetheless, as the CNL looks to progress through this lower bracket, deeper into the playoffs with a major spot on the line. You can see OneCoin get themselves positioned ready. They know that there is going to be everything to do coming into this game, this series. And the game will get itself underway. You can see Mingaran on the left standing behind his team, looking to usher them at least one step further through this lower bracket. And then a 62 to 38% community vote in favor of Wolves Esports, who, I remind you, had technically the worst of the two records. 4 points collected compared to the 6 of OneCoin. But clearly, the hearts of the fans leading the way of the Wolves as we head in towards Bank. Grant just making sure his team's already locked in. He's getting himself locked in. But so the Wolves, I mean, then also sitting there with staff and how I believe Physics unfortunately was not able to make it into the country. He's been working behind the scenes. Could be wrong, I don't think I saw him there, but either way, I mean, a coach of his caliber looking to bolster up this Wolves Esports roster. Another team under this banner looking to join its counterparts across multiple titles on the international stage. And it all starts here, making that lower bracket run, making it to Salt Lake City and the major, of course. Wouldn't be the first time that Mingaran has attended one, rather. He's been to a handful as a coach through Oceania, of course. With the likes of, you know, Enterprise last year having massive success with Bliss as well. Gaming Gladiators for a while as an analyst. I mean, a top 8 run through the 6 Invitational in 2024 with Bliss Esports. Multiple top seeds through Oceania. As we look to get the game underway for real this time. See those operators that aren't going to be prioritized away, denied. Those key tools to utilize an attack or defense and leverage. Here we go. Good luck, have fun in chat as we look to get things underway. And first ban's coming through. Ying Kai, the 2 most banned operators in the CNL, will continue that trend as they cop a 44th and 45th ban respectively at Capital Echo. A little bit lower down on the prior list, but definitely 8th ban for Capital, 10th for Echo. They have seen a bit of love. Looking at it, second floor, we head to CEO and Executive. Pretty stock standard start to a game. A lot of those long angles. Those window repels are going to be a bit dicey. In terms of that denial, they brought a Maestro, but we're not seeing electrification. Kai obviously banned it a little bit harder to execute on this map. Given those repels, the castle coming through. We turn Exec Hallway and Banana into a bit of a funnel. And you can already start to see some of those switch-offs coming through. Striker, the CPK, the Monty being stuck through, but it's a Zofia and a Brava. So looking to try and capitalize on this Maestro, steal some of that utility. Zofia is going to have a nice, easy time opening things up. With the Monty, you'd imagine those smokes in hand to create a bit of a screen to allow for a cheeky plant attempt. They're anticipating spawn peaks to come out of CEO, but that's not what's happening right now. Zofia dual purpose, of course, clearing out some of those angles with the lifeline, but also dealing with those Rooney gates, rather. Okay, bulletproof cam was attempted there for this steal. I don't necessarily know if Brava got it, as the clutch drone was cleared out. There you go. We start to see Fang getting himself on that rappel. Looking for angles, trying to utilize those drones. You can see player close on that exec hallway door. Long angle from the foyer. Lobby window. Just trying to spot anyone stepping too far out. And it seems that OneCoin have cottoned on to that fact. Don't want to step into the long range threat that is going to be Cardi with that DMR in hand. Holding that long angle towards front desk. Looking to try and start opening things up. And these Maestro cams as well. Already going to work. You can hear the Evil Eye sing out as it clears some of that utility. Next Kairos. They know that there is a player prone there. They know that the Aruni is just lying in wait, but it's CPK. Takes the first for himself. He's jumped in. He's found two sitting in Banana. Cheeky little push there as he finds the Maestro to boot. So those Evil Eyes a lot less effective now in terms of denial and clearing out utility in a 3v5. Great little spot there, but what a shot from Gundam. Takes down CPK. Monty on the job. They get a trade back. Brings it to a 4 versus 2. Gundam and Paul in a bit of a tight spot, especially with the Monty in play. They lack the tools, but Gundam's on it. He's found himself one. Paul has contributed a second. And we're down to 2v2. DMR in hand for the Shabana and a Maestro. Monty, rather. Not a Maestro. Maestro is gone. A Monty. Oh, what a shot from Paul. Gundam swings wide off the distraction and takes the kill. What a defense here to start off Bank in this lower bracket round 1. And that is a very, very big play and a very big swing that has deservedly been won by OneCoin. They come out with a statement around the CO defense. You got to wonder, what do Wolves try and do now? Have they gauged what they needed to off the back of that round, or is this going to be enough to propel down to the basement as we start round 2? And I mean, what a big clutch there. Gundam and Paul, ice in the veins as they deny Wolves what was looking like it was a very good, very winnable round from a 4v2 to a 2-0 as Paul and Gundam hold on. But as we go to the basement, you look at it, Snake being hovered here. Deimos was as well, but they've opted out. Sen's gone a Blackbeard, which has seen a huge amount of play on the defense. The Tachanka and the smoke coming out. Fenrir, Aruni, Azami. So a lot of utility that will hamper the efforts to get into the bomb site. We'll have to see, though. You can see already Cardi on this Blackbeard. They're looking to try and clear from the top down. Doesn't look like there's a huge amount of roam presence, at least not up on the second floor. But a little bit concerned for Wolves if they do slow things down, if it's the slow approach. They find themselves running into a lot of utility that is going to make this a very, very difficult approach to site. Already top floor being cleared. Wolves Esports at least being thorough in that aspect. Don't want any lurkers. Deep roamers on the defense to come in, pinch. And you can see there is players up on this first floor. Top blue stairs, though, for the smoke, I'd imagine. And then more than likely main stairs for what seemed to be an Azami. Recap. Activates that radar, knows that there's players nearby. And this Fenrir could be in a bit of trouble. Sees the Blackbeard, looking for an angle. Does he know there's support over the shoulder? He does now, but Paul finds the first. Unfortunately, Rejoice and Riot are then immediately traded out. So 3 versus 4, but Cardi's not the healthiest. Swings wide and aggressively takes down Paul. And a 2 versus 4, but it's Tachanka and Smoke. Gundam, who found a magnificent 3-piece in that last round. And then Future on this Tachanka could make things very uncomfortable with that Shamika launcher of his. And then, of course, the Toxic Bays. But there's a lot of different angles here to cover. with demos still in play, those X-Kyros will be invaluable in terms of opening up this utility. And then Arfang as well does have those hard breach tools. They're going to start to go to work on these hatches. Looking towards a vault push, but you can see Gundam well and truly aware of what's coming. Clears out drones. 53 seconds on the clock. They've definitely got the tools to stall out this push, but it's going to be a very close run affair. 4 kills needed to close this round out, and only 2 people to find it. I mean, admittedly, Tachanka has one of the greatest weapons in terms of mag capacity to do this. You can see this drop down. That's the first one. Gundam with the Toxic Babes makes it a 2 versus 3. Well and truly within doable territory. 30 seconds on the clock. Shots ring out, but it's going to be a massive kill. This Tachanka holding fast from the garage. Knows that there's players swinging wide. It is just the Hibana and the Sens now. Looking to lock down these long angles. Gundam trying to set themselves up a bit of crossfire between the sides. And no, a bit of a disaster play as unfortunately Gundam goes down. It's all on to the Tachanka. Swings wide into the site. Player prone just around the corner on the bomb. And not going to be able to get it done. Nice little clean up there from the rest of Wolves Esports. They don't let it slip for a second time. And that could have been a bit rough. That could have been very rough indeed. Been making sure that they play to the win condition, which is get that diffuser down and look to work from there, and they do just that. And it was a very dicey thing. Gundam looked like he was going to be able to hold this vault very, very well. That Sens wall does nothing to stop the smoke bays, but they come on through, work the other angle from vault rather, and get themselves in a plant through vault lobby. Going into the third round at 1 apiece. You head kitchen and open. You can see it's going to be that extension upstairs, pretty traditional in terms of what we've come to expect. In Siege, you hold that verticality, deny them as much as you physically can. I mean, it's been a valiant effort both sides so far. Late Monty switching. It looks like a Boss G Vigil potentially coming through here. And it is. Yeah, that's a very bold call. We've seen it a couple of times through this tournament. And I mean, look, it is a gun that will get the job done, but a gamble and a half. Carriage push already. So multiple points of egress here for Wolves. Trying to find anyone they can, flush them out. Nah, just up over the cart. The stairs. They know full well that it is going to be that vertical extension up onto the second floor. Just trying to make sure that they do their due diligence, clear those angles, make sure that they're not going to get any nasty surprise. And it is going to be, of course, that opening up of that elevator wall towards top elevators. Create that long line of sight, really threaten some standard defensive positions that are held, at least on bank here. No one down. This Monty still in play. And that Grim to boot. It's going to make it a little bit harder to sit in some of these corners, lurking up the gridlock. Just trying to flush out anyone sitting up above this open space site in stock. First kill goes down, unfortunately. It's a kill going the way of Wolves Esports. 1 coin find themselves down. 1 player. But it's not like they've not been in this situation before. They have for sure. It was Gundam to do it. And there you go, the equalizing kill. Great little spray. They know that there could be something sitting here in stock, and they're just going to pick the diff up, get that main stairs control, look to stabilize the ship a little bit here. 54 seconds to go. With that ram, start to work on all of these vertical angles above the site, flush out any cheeky defenders tucked in behind those cubicles. Banner, of course, clearing across from lobby, getting into that open hallway. Besides better of it, they may be looking for a push through tellers. That angle's threatening. They need to get things underway, get things moving. 20 seconds on the clock. It's going to be a drastic drop down. Not a huge amount of utility by that Denari. You can see they just have an inkling. They're trying to work away. There is, yeah, someone top blue stairs. Looking for that angle. Just holding inside a square. This gridlock trying to deny. Plant was going down with 5 seconds left. They've just been swamped out of it. It's a 3v2, but with 2 seconds on the clock, can they get the diff down? They can. Monty gets on it, and Wolves clutch up in a messy semi-post plant position. And it gets dicey, but they get it done here on Bank. So far, things have come close, but not been clean by any stretch of the imagination. With the first quarter done, 2-1 scoreline, leaning the way of Wolves, heading into the second ban phase. Monty and Azami. So Wolves not going to have that Monty to carry on through for the remainder of this attacking half, which has been a linchpin pick for them so far. And Azami in the defense has been pretty key. Unfortunately, Gundam not quite finding the traction I think that he was looking for with that Vigil. The boss G in hand. It was taken out before it really could find anything. As it stands, back to CEO. The one site they did have success on, it came off the back of what was a magnificent clutch from Gundam and Paul. Castle coming through once again. That clash as well. This makes that push just so much tougher. You need the tools to deal with the clash, and without, you know, those stuns coming through, without the lifelines, the concussions, does become a little bit dicey. So we head into round 4. It was CPK that seemingly broke the round open for the Wolves. Great little push in through what you'd imagine he had to have jumped in that exact hallway window with the cover from the castle. Unfortunately, Gundam just quick on the trigger, finds some big kills back. A deep lurk here from this Ash in the basement. Clearing blue. Just anticipating some deep roams so far from this one coin roster. Holding those angles, and there has been a couple of fairly impactful roamers, but less so in the last couple of rounds. And this side is definitely one that does favour it, but seemingly nothing. And it's an aggressive push up square. There's big control taken. They look to clear out some of these objectives, some of these stepping stones. Shots ringing out. There you go. First blood drawn by one coin in this round. Gundam gets it done again. But shots ringing back. They're looking for more. Makes it a 5 versus 3. Your ace off the board as well. In a 5v3. This time, one coin very much in the driver's seat. They pulled it back from behind last time around. And here they are the ones dictating a lot of the pace. 90 seconds left. Just on these rappels, looking for an angle. They're just not presenting themselves, which is a bit of a shame, because you need to find impact from those rappel positions, if not clearing out utility, clearing out players, denying them angles. And it's just not happened that way consistently. One coin has been able to find positions to threaten. Shots ring out yet again. This time it is Wolves Esports answering one back at least. And the Bees go up into that meeting hallway, just trying to find information, trying to find anything that could give Wolves and Esports an angle into taking a pick off the board, equalising with 45 seconds left to go. Smokes down. They might look for an aggressive plant attempt here with coverage, but with Warden in play, it's not going to be the cleanest, not going to be the easiest of tasks. They just want to clear out so much more. Peeking bottom of that lobby stairs position. Up towards front desk if they can find an angle, maybe. No, up towards this very dicey position. Looking in from below, but it's into that janitor hallway. It's a bloodbath, unfortunately, as Wolves capitulate and collapse. 10 seconds on the clock, and A 3 versus 1. Mate, that a 3 versus 0 and 1 coin once again. Holds valiantly. And that CEO defense. Taking it back to a 3-2 scoreline. The other 2 bomb sites, though, for them did not go swimmingly, unfortunately. We'll have to see. Can they? I mean, all they need to do is double down. Go back to a site and win it out on the first floor. Even basement, potentially. It is going to be basement. Unfortunately, last time it came down to 2v2. But the positioning was just that much cleaner from the Wolves. They get that plant off and they just hold their angles. With Gundam going down. It looks like we are going to repeat operators here on the defense. No Monty this time, though. Does make it a little bit harder. Yeah, just caught a little unawares there, unfortunately. Pushing up main stairs. They lock down the Zofia in that exec hallway as well. But as it stands, I mean, it's far from over. 2-2 the scoreline. But they were up 1-0 and then proceeded to lose the next 2. Basement and then, of course, open kitchen. No Monty this time. It's going to be interesting to see how Wolves look to adapt this attack. It's such a linchpin having those shields. They head upped it into a Blackbeard. It looks like they're going to do the exact same again. The Snake coming through. Sends as well. Very much similar to how they approached it, clearing out that vault. And looking to go from there. Sends Bravo. Again, not a huge amount of gap to potentially steal. Snake on the job, trying to find any information. Any at all. We get pings through. Knows someone is lurking up here on the second floor. Toying with them. Has to be. Yeah, sitting around that main stairs position. As it stands, it seems to be a bit of a wild goose chase. And yeah, look. The radar going, Blackbeard there. They're looking for a bit of a pinch, and it is going to be opening 2 picks, in fact, going the way of Wolves as they do some great work clearing out on this first floor above the objective itself. But again, 3 big operators. You've lost your Warden, you've lost your Fenrir, but with a clash, a smoke and a Tachanka. 3 phenomenal operators in terms of locking down these objectives. Main stair push is going to be very hard. With a blue hold in position here for Gundam. Definitely the operator that you'd want on the tools in that position. Hatch above the site is going to be a bit of a dicey one to contest. CCTV going to be opened up now, so they do have an angle directly into that site. Yeah, knowing full well that that Kludge drone from CPK has taken control of the bulletproof camera in garage. They clear it out. Now that's a Chunker. With the Shamika launcher, is going to have to go to work here, try and deny that drop down. But with 59 seconds, or 55 seconds rather, left to go on this clock. It is going to be a dicey one. Smoke canisters, Shamika launcher. That's a lot of burn, a lot of threat into the objective. And those smokes going down. It's all about misinformation. Toxic canister throwing deep. Trying to cut off that angle from main stairs and garage. Shamika launcher, 34 to go. 3v5. And they have very much got the tools to try and get it done here. Player in towards server. Cut down the Sens, looking to try and stop the angle, push through with that wall, but the Toxic Canister said they found the angle. Arfang, he's trying to get this plant down, but he's not found the ground to do so. They look like they may have cut through. Arfang taking some big damage. The Shamika, you just look at it, it's absolute chaos in the site. Big shots on, they found CPK. 4 versus 3 with 10 seconds to go. Arfang, he's on the plant behind that Sens wall. He's going to be able to get it down, sprays on through, but it's off the money. And still a 4v3. Hatch held from above, and they're going to have to push on up the Chunker and this clash. Unfortunately, Gundam falls on the site. And it is a bit of a lost cause. They just give up too much ground. Somehow, Arfang finds an angle into the site to get that diffuser down, despite the Shamika launcher, despite the Toxic Babes. And Ryder is going to drop down square with 17 seconds to go. Maybe look for a flank pinch from behind, but really, I just don't know if there's anything doing. Not a single player to be found, and no time now left to get that diffuser out either. Wolves get it done in basement yet again. Not even the consolation prize here for Ryder as he just backs himself in, plays the KD. And Wolves just seem to have this site on lockdown, losing Gundam on the site itself. Arfang just somehow dashing through behind that wall of his, getting up onto the bench in the back corner of CCTV with coverage. Shmika launches. Toxic Canisters not finding the traction they needed to. And it allows Wolves to take that lead back once again. Question now being, where do we head? CEO into basement, and then cafeteria, open space was the third option. 4-1 coin, the last rotation of sites. Final round of the half. Where do they look to go? Some minor issues as we try and get this sorted. You'd have to imagine they go straight back to kitchen open. Teller's Archives just ends up being a bit of a shooting gallery. To be pretty clean when it comes to it. Seems though that might be a bit of a tech issue. Round 6 on the cards here between Wolves Esports and OneCoin. And what has been a stalwart defense on CEO just unfortunately has not translated into either basement or cafe open area. And so far, you got to admit the Wolves have had this map on lockdown. And it is going to be a reattempt of basement here for OneCoin. A last-ditch effort to salvage a 3-3 half on bank. Tuber coming through for Riot this time around. They once again bring out the smoke to chunk, but it's an Aruni and a Goyo to round out these defensive operators. Snake coming through. The Bravo once again sends Blackbeard and Ivana. Operators that have been played quite heavily by Wolves Esports. Great success as well, but the Sens really was the big problem. Gets the green wall down. Crosses, gets up on one of the stations in CCTV and avoids the Toxic Canisters, avoids the Shmika launcher. It means that Wolves can successfully get that plant down, courtesy of Arfang. They salvage the round from there. But you look at it just in terms of plant that it is near overwhelming for the side of OneCoin. Gundam, I think, needs to be the linchpin here. Has had some magnificent holds. Him and Paul, if they can stay alive, they can very much find impact in the round. 2 players sitting in this open area right now. The Goyo, the Aruni, and Ryder in the garage. Trying to hold a position here. Play a little bit deeper. I mean that there's angles that will be a little bit dicier for the Wolves to cross. And once again, the Snake trying to find these players off-site, and the call's been made already. Get back down to basement. Hunker down on this bomb site. And a pretty early fall-off, all things considered. 1:45 still on that clock. Luckily, not a huge amount of utility for CPK to find here, but a great gun in hand regardless. Does mean that you have to be a little bit careful at taking those long-range fights into it. Paul, still not to fall back yet. Rejoice going to be down there. And there you go, Paul falls off as well. So all 5 members down in this basement, hunkering in. Backs against the wall to try and mount this defense. There's still an inkling, still a tickling in the back of the brains for Wolves that there might be someone lingering off-site to try and make this push a little bit deadly, pinch in from the back and really threaten. But it's CPK leading that charge down the main stairs. Staring down and towards lockers, that vault lobby position. They get the hatch clear above the site. Looking for a multi-angle approach in. The time is steadily dwindling. 50 seconds on the clock. They know that they have to get themselves ready for a bit of a brute force into the objective. Those green walls up and available for Arfing. They get them clear. Maybe they can make a deep play through, but shots ring out, and it is getting a bit dicey here for both sides. Explosions galore, and things getting a little bit chaotic in and around that objective. Toxic Babes, drones cleared, explosions. Wolves 30 seconds to make something happen here. Take themselves a 4-2 lead in the half. Lurking down, CPK looks for an angle, spots a player, but he turns back a little bit too little too late. Will get the shots on with the help of Cardi. Finds a player into Garage. Great swing from CPK from the bottom of main, and it's Demos to find his third. He burns, unfortunately, to his own devices. It's Gundam alone. And a 1v3. 7 seconds left to go. All he has to do is stall, deny that entry in towards the objective. 3 seconds to go. Shots on, but what a swing. It's traded immediately by CPK. And a 4-2 half will be secured by the Wolves. What a clutch up from CPK.
retake 就打 retake， 我用车带你，如果没有 echo 的话，那我就换一个 BP 也行。
他是背上去吗？
对，背上去，对，没错。反正他都知道你就没什么危险，他们打示范你就放上去说，只怕他们会加很多道具进来的，那Jordan 要去 adapt 对，然后你要用烟去烟住，然后能的话就记住我们那个大厅的 retake， 知道我说什么？就是大厅那个 retake， 因为他们不那个
Aruli Castle, right? So we have to make sure how to clean that one. Okay?
Okay. 我们办 Mirror Clash， 但是这时候对面就会用很多陷阱道具，我们一定要想好拿什么感觉去 counter 对面的陷阱道具。好吧
Okay. Also for top floor, AK is told to you, Paul. You have to remove castle barricade for banana castle.
Yeah.
Put together. I don't know.
Repeat the last sentence.
Make same put together for clearing lobby. Okay.
OK。就我帮你们把交到的轮子板摘了以后，我们在打大厅的时候同时执行，同时干一件事，好吧？加油！加油！
好，上半场以4-2，狼队2分优势领先。来到下半场攻防互换以后，我们可以从刚刚的。
Well, we may not speak the language. There are certain things that do translate, even into Mandarin for Rainbow Six Siege. To Smoke, Tachanka, Mirror Clash, all coming through on comms, and Mirror's going to be banned away, as is the Clash by 1 coin. Hibana and Ace to join from the side of Wolves. So hard breach options going to be lacking somewhat, as Kaid seems like it could be potentially a bit of an oversight. What a final round it was. You look at CPK, they had him pitched into a corner in the vault. Locked down and blocked. Kaid not even going to be picked here for the Wolves in the defense. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Wolves picking up the echo as well. So both defenders that were banned by Wolves on their attacking half going to be allowed through by 1 coin, which could potentially be a little bit problematic on this site as well. A 0 being hovered, but it's going to be a Thatcher, a Glaz, a Blitz, no, Monty, and a Sen. So last couple of switch offs, Capital, Grim coming through. So Tools at least carrying out some of these angles with that echo, going to make this Monty's life a little bit harder. And that Kaid, of course, answerable, of course, courtesy of Paul with this Thatcher. But the Tuberal, just that extra layer of delay. Cheeky little drone spot there. Unfortunately, Demos looking, not finding that drone, unfortunately. But you look at it, 1 coin, 3 drones left to their name with 2 minutes 30 on the clock. Significant lack of information gathering potential going to be available to them, and bit of a shame, Brava not looked into here by 1 coin. With that Echo in play, with the Kaid in play, not they get a huge amount of value, but the Jaeger in play. Could have stolen those ADSs, could have stolen the Yokai drones. Things coming through, and they do start to get a bit of a better picture of how this defense is being laid out here by Wolves. He sit 3 rounds from victory here. on bank so far. Have had a very clean showing on the attack so far. First minute goal, a lot of information gathered, but you can see the Wolves almost entirely hunkered down in this basement. A little bit less willing to roam than their counterparts were. So we'll have to see, depending on how they look to approach. I mean, there's a lot of information in terms of what will be utilized. Anyone's guess. I mean, just look at the top blue defense here. And there you go. Hard breach starts to go down in square. They know that there has to be someone sitting top blue. The information surely going to be there to him. Another hard breach going down. They spot the player in the back corner of server. Barbed wire there. And I have good news. I have great news indeed. In just a moment, we will be joined by an absolute legend. On the
look, it's
Cthulhu, he's back. It's Blue Thulu on the mic again, buddy.
Blue Thulu on the mic, indeed. Yeah, look, it's been a bit of a rush evening so far for myself, but yeah, we finally are here. It's all full straight into the thick of it with the swing on coming on out to the bottom of the server stairs, and at the moment it's a complete massacre, really, as the shotgun does still end up connecting, and Demos is at the very least able to claim 1 for 1.
Problematic. That's his smoke gone on the side of the defense. Thatcher on the side of the attack. They knew that there was someone sitting in back serve, but unfortunately, Guardy has relocated. Tubrow, you can see him looking to try and go to work. That green wall was so effective on the Wolves' attack this time around. Not going to quite find the traction they need. Another wall goes down, but you can see multiple members of Wolves just eyeing up this bomb site right now. Monty and Nitrocell ripped in behind the bomb. It's just off the money as Ryan looks to start getting it done. Huge angle opened up as Arfunk. He's going to find the first. Traded back, multiple shots going the way of the Wolves. And it's a 3v3 with 2 seconds left to go. Gundam for some big shots. They're going to start this plant off. They need cover, but they can't get it done. It's an absolute mess. They will finally lock down that plant. Just a second. That's all they needed. And a 2v1 Cardi finds himself in the back foot, but he's healthy. He's happy. They look to go above. He needs to find one, potentially. If he can find that shot through the hatch, he's looking to go for a cheeky long arm. How are they going to get on the hatch? He pulls off. He's played himself the swing from Future's good. And 1 coin. Bring it back within 1.
Huge turnaround here. 1 coin. So seemingly on a bit of a odd back foot, managing to still bring it all back. But man, that was a scrappy round to say the least. And the comeback actually worked out really, really well there. So gotta say, big kudos for them managing to still keep it in the running, despite the fact that Wolves nearly put a bit of a spanner in the works there at the last moment. So recovery so far worked pretty well, and the GOAT Mingaran certainly doing quite some work as well there for the team, seemingly.
What, a second and a half at best left on the clock. They get the turnaround, they get the plant down courtesy. I believe it was Future who snagged up that diffuser there. Got it down loud for the last second reposition, but much as many of these rounds have gone so far, very scrappy in the dying moments. And I mean, it was a very close thing. I mean, coming into it, you start your push, you lose out on your smoke early, but you also lose out on that Thatcher. And I thought for sure Arfang had done it here. Clears out the green wall, spots the Monty on the plant, denies that, and then somehow 1 coin sneak back in Cthulhu and get the plant down anyway.
Yeah, getting the plant down anyway and still managing to get that sorted is honestly a pretty huge turnaround here, especially for OC, considering that things been a bit on the rougher end as well for them for quite a fair while during the early stages of the group stage, and now coming into this, well, against Wolves out of all of the teams as well. This is one of the matches that I would, even from the get-go, really call as it might be a pretty scrappy one, as well, as they would need to just make sure that they're really nailing their performances, because despite the fact that Wolves kind of got sort of slapped around quite a fair bit during the group stage, they're still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, interesting situation. 1 coin coming into this playoffs bracket with a better record than Wolves Esports, but it's Wolves Esports who feel like they are in the driver's seat so far this game.
Absolutely, yeah. They certainly looked pretty steady overall, and the rounds that Wolves were able to previously win, even after some of the other against some of the other teams, were actually pretty convincing as well. So honestly, there's still very much levels to their game, and there's absolutely plenty of opportunities to go with. I'm looking at the overall lineup though for Wolves. It is a pretty curious one, pretty flexible added as well. The introduction of Denari plus the Solus plus the Tubarão is signing for, you know, there's quite a fair bit of flexibility, whether it's the need for the for a bit more of an anchor play in comparison against the roam play, and so there's certainly should be flexing the ability to you know, move around between some different states, but so far Wolves previously haven't had much of a success in that regard, actually.
I mean, we've even seen a pretty drastically different approach in terms of operators played as well. For OneCoin coming into this bomb side, it was your classic Castle or Rooney set up, deny a lot of that entry, play with the smoke, play with the clutch potential, but this time around, it's not going to be the case for either. It's a huge pick to start things off. Cardi down, who has been a standout performer so far for this Wolves roster, and the flashes to boot. Impacts from below, looking for shots on, but CPK and Recap looking to get things done here. A 4 versus 3 as we hit that 55-second mark.
50 seconds remaining. Swings coming on through CPK, looking to try to get himself a bit of a frag as we're getting a triple one on it as well to try to really get the full depth of that swing on top of it all. But losing control over the front desk is going to be problematic for the OC squad. Only 2 people remaining, 36 seconds now, and for Thatcher or, well, Twitch for that matter, one of them will have to really frontline that push, and neither of the angles will be pretty.
CPK with a kill that was so nice, we played it thrice. Swing on in towards Banana as Gundam there. Paul has to go on the reload, so it is going to be a detached approach towards the objective. On X-Ray, you can't see much of anyone. You can see ducking and diving players in towards Janitor. They're holding their own over towards that long desk position as well. 8 seconds left to go. They're going to have to brute force Gundam for one. He's been very good, but he can't find the follow-up. And it's going to collapse under the weight of a Wolves defense. It looked like they were on the front foot with Gundam opening up, but they just couldn't transition from there.
It's been a bit of an odd sort of just time for SD Gundam as well. Lana has had so many big highlight moments, had so many phenomenal opportunities as well to just keep on pulling off some absolutely outrageous plays. But it's just the constant, I suppose, call it gamble, really, that has been just an absolute thorn in the side, really, of, well, honestly, his own team's performance. And whilst honestly some sort of chaos element is always good to have, I think it's the fact that is just for the most of it SD Gundam that is trying to go for more outrageous plays that ends up more often than not actually crippling the performance of the roster.
Yeah, ambitious, but unfortunately not paying off the way they want. That high risk, high reward angle worked in the first round with a very impressive clutch up, but has yet to really pay out the same way since. Heading back down to the basement. I mean, look, it was a great little clutch up there from OneCoin in the opening round of the half, but Wolves very much feeling like they've steadied that ship. It was a great defense there, even off the back foot, up in CEO. They may have just found the momentum they needed to reset.
Absolutely. So, yeah, the reset for Wolves is certainly a much wanted, a much needed thing, really, considering that, you know, they had a pretty difficult run through the group stage, through even the playoffs, which was so far a very tumultuous run, to say the very least. But honestly, they would be looking at this, and, well, they have only 2 more points to achieve to get themselves the pick, and I believe the season even their map pick as well. So OC are very much wanting to claim. They need themselves a this map in particular, because going into Clubhouse, things may not look particularly as pretty for them.
Absolutely. And the stature on the tools again, once again, trying to clear out these Kaid claws. Yinglet through, the most banned attacking operator so far in the CNL. Running that shotgun debut, and there you go, the RPG, or EMP RPG, coming out. Once again, Demos, top of the stairs. It's not a Monty this time, it's a Blitz instead. As they look to clear out these ADSs. Around the corner comes the Blitz. Full white screen for Demos. Can they finish him off? No. Unfortunately, those Yokai drones making it very difficult. Shots on. And what a kill to take down the smoke. That anchor that could have well and truly held this defense together. Now it's on to Cardi. 45 seconds to go. Smoke's down. He's looking for the angle. The pinch back onto this Blitz, but he's caught in the meat grinder. Falls. 5 versus 3. And they look to dump the utility in towards the site. And you can see right now, holding between the two, Rejoice in that open area hatch has those Candelas going out. You could, Fung, this AR-15 has been such a deadly weapon in the hands of this Wolves roster. At the hands of Recap, he was the one to get it done, but there you go, Yokai looking for the reset, but he's gone through the hatch. Nitro Cell deep, is it enough to stop?
Oh.
Big kills go the way of the Wolves to equalize. 15 seconds on the clock. Once again, it's Paul this time, trying to go for that defuse climb, but the Pixel spotted Paul. They can't connect the shots. That's a backpack, buddy. You need to hit the body, but he gets it down. 3v2 in the post. Limited utility now on the side of the Wolves. Gundam and Future to get it done. All they have to do is hold for 30 more seconds. Waste the time of the Wolves. You can see just looking desperately every which way that a player might be lurking. And Arfang might be the hero that Wolves need here. Looking to try and step his team up on towards match point. But you can see on the other side in server, it's Future. Looking to hold it down on that hatch. It's big shots on. Future gets his one. 15 seconds to go. He just needs to hold a little bit longer. Get them off the defuse. Recaps on it though. Big shots, big swing needed. Pre-fire, he can't get it. CPK clutches up again.
Huge turnaround and amazing cover there from CPK as well for Wolves, and a very key round as well here to take, because not only that now sets up the Wolves roster for a absolutely phenomenal advantage in terms of the point, that also gives them that match point, that gives them a whole lot more leverage, because now OC are pushed to be a little bit more dire about how they approach this, about how they play, because they do not have that buffer of the extra rounds anymore. That's it. This is, well, at the very least, it's an end game for map number 1, and that could potentially translate into a little bit more of a dire set of moves that they will have to take. And I mean, looking at the overall lineup, this kind of also speaks in what they are picking, at least the initial picks. The choice of Deimos plus Solid Snake as well very much speaks to the idea that they are not really looking to mess around anymore, really. They realizing and fully acknowledging how the roam game and just flushing out some of those really tricky nooks and crannies is going to be difficult, and they want to get rid of it as promptly as possible. And they had a pretty solid idea. OC had a phenomenal pincer game as well, I have to say. The blitz push has been working for them extremely well, but it's the fact that they keep on piling up. They can't seem to be able to predict the re-swings as well, through the smokes as well. The C4s that will be flying in seems to be the absolute, well, thorn and the ultimate culprit that is playing against them.
I mean, unfortunately for Gundam, seems to be that he can make miracles happen when he's the one dictating it, when he's the one pushing and trying to make the plays. He can absolutely get it done. But when he's the one on the back foot, when they're coming to him, he does find it a bit of a struggle, unfortunately. And with their back up against the wall on their own map pick, Cthulhu, I mean, look, you got to wonder, is there enough in the tank for OC to at least take it a couple more rounds?
Well, one would hope that they would be able to still keep things rolling, because it would be a rather difficult timeline, to say the least, if they don't, because, yeah, once again, Clubhouse will be a bit of a rough one. If they do manage to make it to Chalet, now that's a whole different ball game that we could potentially see here, but we'll have to wait and see. For the time being, though, looking at the overall swing to come on through, it is Rioter that is looking to make the push. At the moment, I believe he is pushing a little bit solo, so trying to sort of almost drone up ahead, which wouldn't be a bad shot. And he had Deimos in tandem as well, going in parallel push up top. That clearing out actually pretty relatively rapidly. 1 minute to clear out the top floor is not too shabby, but here comes basically, well, the hard yards, really.
Yeah, absolutely. But as it stands, I mean, Wolves very much feeling in a commanding position. The momentum, you'd imagine, there for them to get it done. Because one point, while they have made some valiant attempts, just feeling a couple of steps behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, things are going to be a bit on the rougher end. We'll have to wait and see if this translates in any capacity further on. Let's take a look, though. The 44 Magnum Revolver is out for Deimos. Deathmark tracking the solos, but unfortunately to no avail. There is a very rushed attempt to just quickly face check basically each and every possible position, but as of now, not much is really seen. One would really hope to see some maybe movement, really.
Yeah. They've tried to scout out the solos as well, but Recap has played his position very well. Did not any chance at Rejoice finding an angle, but it's Future to open things up. Demo's down, the lurker down in the basement. Rejoice adds a second. Arfang, the smoke as well. So two of your big denial operators gone. CPK, who has been a huge stalwart on the defense here for this Wolves roster, also removed. But Riot is in trouble. He's burning the Vulcan canisters. Recap, check your corners, boys. And no one knows that he's there. He swings aggressively in towards the planter, denies it. 16 seconds to go. Two more to find, but caught on the reload. Gundam keeps OneCoin's hopes alive.
Keeps them alive indeed, and man, what a turnaround so far. OC very much sweating for each and every round, and I mean, it's down to the very last bit here as well. As look, they are battling and trying to do their absolute darn best here to just keep things in the rolling, but it's still looking a little bit on the rougher end. Tag timeout coming in as well for Wolves as they're starting to realize that they're once again slipping up. They are letting OneCoin to keep on grabbing those rounds, and in a game like this, in a lower bracket matchup as well, this is a matter of basically getting eliminated, so things could get rather heated pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, at least that last round composure seemingly slipping a little bit for the Wolves esports team. They looked pretty comfortable for the better part of Bank so far, having a number of very good attacking rounds and a handful, admittedly, only a handful of clean defender rounds. But when they do win, they look very decisive getting it done. They slam that door in the face of OneCoin, but unfortunately, Kitchen open is just not a great sight to defend, it seems, for either team, as it has just been brutally shut down by both teams on the attack.
Absolutely. It's been a bit of things on a rougher end, but maybe there's still a realm where we could see some return on the investment really here for OneCoin. 2 more rounds to at least push it to overtime, and maybe then we can start, considering some of the other options. Wondering if there is in fact any possibility for that as well to happen. As overall, just looking at the choices once again, Aurora making the appearance, the Monty as well, instead being swapped out, and a very rare occurrence of a Zafia pick as well for Paul. Once again, potentially indicating that, we have to really just push it. And for what it's worth, this is a very much of a valid idea in every shape and point. So going onwards, Wolves will really need to make sure that they are keeping themselves nice and steady.
Absolutely. And I mean, you look at the utility that's been brought on the defense. Zofia makes a lot of sense with that lifeline between the castle and the Azami, not even to mention the Maestro. There's going to be a lot of utility that lifeline will allow them to clear out. It's a dicey spot for sure. This bomb site has been very, very well held by the defending team, but with Monty let through, it was banned out on OneCoin's defensive half. Wasn't available to Wolves in that second ban phase from then on, but they still got it done. This time round, though, Monty's there. They've got that role, like you were talking about, being able to cut off some of those angles for the defenders. There's a lot more utility, it feels, in the hands of OneCoin this time around.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. OneCoin is certainly looking like they're very much wanting this sort of process to happen, this sort of turnaround to really come on through. One question being is, well, are we actually going to see some much needed sort of break for them here? Because it has been a rough turnaround for them, no matter how you look at it. Now onwards, trying to sort of find their next stride, and well, it's Monty once again pushing. Yes, there is the call coming around. Half a round has been already drained, and the fact that Recap is able to just bail out fairly quickly and pretty steadfast shows that, well, for now they get to basically just rest and drain even more time, and the time drain is ultimately going to be the big thing to really keep an eye out for.
Absolutely, but CPK was the master of this defense in towards front desk last time they defended here. Absolutely demolished the push, but Monty plays spoiler on Banana, clearing those windows. Shots on. It's going to be Future claiming first blood. Demo's down, and this poor Tubrow locked into a corner and shut down by a Frenchman and his pistol. Arfang, he does let rip with that massive LMG. Cardi doubles down with a second of his own. 3v3, but Gundam on the tools. Finds another big opening. Down goes the Maestro. Gundam's on it, and he finds 3 to close the round. And OneCoin find themselves within 1 of overtime.
One more for the run. This could be absolutely huge here as well, I have to say. OneCoin will need to really lock in for this one, and you can see on the faces of Wolves Esports, players are not particularly too happy. They are starting to get flustered as well, and I mean, you're seeing so many positions where it's, you know, those gunfights getting isolated so quickly, so promptly, and without much of a really response. So it feels like it's almost Wolves kind of lost their touch after those sort of 4-2, 5-2 sort of games where they were able to keep themselves steady. After that, it's just this destabilization has been just something feral.
I mean, the momentum completely stalled out here, courtesy of OneCoin, who have done a phenomenal job of digging in their heels, getting things done here on the attack, and on a map as well that, for the most part, has leaned, again, defender-sided in the CNL kickoff so far.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to say the least, I have to say. Looking at the overall play here, I'm wondering if there's going to be much of a response here out of Wolves, because honestly, look, they've been trying their absolute darn best to just keep themselves in a running, but it seemingly looks like we might be actually seeing a bit of a fizzle out in terms of their energy, or in terms of how they are looking to perform, because things are a little bit finicky here. They have once again an idea of, you know, introducing a lineup for a bit more of a heavier sort of defense, and the introduction of Chunky is always good for the downstairs hold. But again, with Cardi getting shut down so steady, so quick, fast, there's not really much. Hello, there's just it's just a blitz. Yeah, he's just there. He's running around. In the meantime, it's Arfang as well with the double, and all of the dreams of OC's comeback are all of a sudden gone.
Oh, it looked like it was going to be a miracle push too. Gundam had taken garage control. Ryder had just brute force through server and was looking to cut off CPK at top blue. Unfortunately, Future and Paul did fuddle in behind him right into the waiting arms of that AR-15 on Arfang's hand. And he just mows them down. And a 4 versus 2. Gundam Rejoice not in position, not in pocket. Now, with 1:35 to try and clutch up here, Cthulhu, that is a bleak turnaround.
Bleak turnaround indeed, yeah. Look, things are not particularly looking too pretty either. So I'm wondering what else can be really done here, because, look, things are looking quite unfortunate, though. Minute 26, at least for OneCoin, they have the opportunity to still consider their options, to still think what can really be done here, what can be changed, but it's an attempt at pokes really at best. And look, that very, very much far from ideal. For Wolves, they're just sitting pretty. They're not really wanting to contest at all, and for all the right reasons. They don't have to.
Placed it in Vault Hall. Oh, this is going to be a death sentence. Gundam is about to look the wrong way. There's a player right on his left, and it's recapped to swing wide, and it's all on Rejoice's hand as he comes down blue. And Demos, you can hear the Shamika launcher going to work. He's still got 10 canisters left here to deny this Lion. And unless they just step up and allow him shots on with 36 seconds left to go, yeah, the toxic canisters to boot. Unfortunately for this poor Lion, he will roar no more in just a moment. He's got the bulletproof shield. He's got 1 EE, 1 D left to his name. No nades even to clear that util. So it's just going to be a slow bleed out, unfortunately, as the Wolves finally bring down their prey. And OneCoin falls short just at the final hurdle.
There we go. Wolves do manage to wrap it all up in regulation, but man, that was a pretty spooky still game for them, I have to say. Map 1, all done and dusted, that's banked. That's OC's map pick as well, which is arguably the scarier part really here to mention. It's the fact that they had a very, very rough time just finding their footing. Whilst for Wolves, at least in the context of this matchup, they have a pretty good upper hand here going into map number 2, into their own map pick as well, mind you, as well. On top of it, with this kind of performance, going into the lower bracket quarterfinals, say for example, let's theorycraft as well for a brief moment. Say they win out the entirety of the matchup. Going in against King Zero Esports is going to be incredibly difficult, and this is something that will need to be addressed in full, and they would need to really prepare as much as possible, because if they come into the King Zero game with a performance like this, it is going to be a very quick conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, their one previous matchup, King Zero takes down 1.72, so really not much of a showcase of what they were capable of, unfortunately. So, I mean, look, OneCoin showing that they've got the vitality to keep it going. Wolves Esports, I mean, they do take a map off, all gamers in the upper bracket, but even then, there were a couple of moments there where it felt like they just completely stalled out, despite having that momentum throughout the better portion of Bank. Suddenly OneCoin start to mount a defense, and it comes down to an unfortunate funnel through a choke point and server to really swing that back in favor of the Wolves by the end of it. There was a very real chance we're heading to overtime on Bank, but right now it's time for a quick break. On the other side, Clubhouse coming up to see if Wolves can get it done in 2, or if OneCoin forces to chalet. And I mean, look, a valiant attempt from OneCoin there, Cthulhu. They very nearly drew it back to overtime, but yeah, an ill-fated push through servers seals their fate on Bank as Wolves get it done. They had a commanding first half, ending 4-2, and then that composure, the masks slipped a little.
Yeah, the masks, in fact, slipped there for a brief moment, then... Yeah, look, that last round, honestly, of Bank was genuinely tragic, and it was sort of just watching at the end of it all just sort of slowly fizzle away as the last 2 remaining members were just trying to come up with some sort of a plan of try to recover what was arguably one of the most unfortunate situations that they could have found themselves in. But look, nonetheless, Wolves managed to really pull it through, despite the fact that OC really put up a phenomenal attempt there. Now, going into map number 2, look, things are looking a little bit dangerous here for OC, and I mean, you're looking at the overall run. The unfortunate reality for them is that when things got down to just trying to keep some sort of momentum, OC were really there just to break a little bit the overall run that Wolves really had, because you're looking at the Wolves' performance always in 2s most of their rounds, whereas for OC, the only streak that they did manage to mount is, well, closer to the conclusion of the map. So yeah, it's been a bit of a rough one, and despite the all of the effort from SD Gundam, things did not particularly go too well, and CPK is the MVP going into this match.
Yeah, look, nothing surprises me about that. This guy had some of the craziest clutches throughout that run for the Wolves. He pulled out round after round of massive holds and massive pushes on both the defense and the attack, respectively, and was an instrumental part to this success that was found here on Bank by the Wolves. But turning our attention to map number 2, Cthulhu, Clubhouse on the cards for the newest region in the Rainbow Six competitive scene. We head to the staple, the stalwart, the age-old in Clubhouse.
Yeah, the age-old in Clubhouse making the appearances are going to be a curious one. We've, previously on some of the broadcasts, there was a discussion that, Clubhouse is generally, considered the map that you sort of need to really know to even be quote-unquote eligible to play the sort of competitive Siege. It's one of those maps that has been very much quintessential in the competitive scene, and well, now we get to see that test, that trial by, well, the just how well can you nail the basics, how well can you keep things in a running, because so far, I mean, for CNL, Labs has been an equally just about as stable of a map choice. So, well, going into Clubhouse, we'll hopefully get to see some momentum as well.
Well, I mean, if Bank has been somewhat defender-sided, it was a 54 to 45 split, a 55 to 45 split, going the way of the defenders coming into today. Clubhouse is anything but 67 to 33% defender-sided map, 27 rounds played, 18 defensive wins, 9 attacking wins. This map leans one particular way, it seems, here at the CNL Cthulhu, and that is the side that OC is starting on.
Exactly that. Perfect opportunity here for OC to really get some initial momentum, and they would very much want that momentum because without it, things will be very much problematic. Now, rocking into round number 1, looking at the overall lineups, I mean, we didn't really get to touch up much on the bans, but for the most of it, really, the bans are fairly self-explanatory. On the side of OC, they do not want to see any of the massive breaches, so Thermite is out of the equation, so is Ying, so the rush play is much more hampered down. And on the side of Wolves, it's very much down to the basics, get rid of the breach denial and, well, force them to play for the post-breach. And for that, really, I mean, OC has actually adjusted pretty well, all things considered. You know, you still got the mute, you bring it in the clash. The biggest, I guess, question mark I have, or rather, well, it's barely even question mark really at this point, is this Skopos and how well will that get integrated into the overall lineup, considering that, I mean, apart from maybe a Goyo, maybe a Tubarao as well, you don't really have as much of a support for the roam in terms of utility.
Absolutely. Kai banned out on the attacking side means that there are going to be far fewer tools to deny this entry through, which is why we stepped to Brow. But you look at it, Row Order once again being brought through on the attack, trying to cut off some of those flankers that will be coming down from those deep roams up on the second floor, especially on this basement defense. And you can already see Cardi has made his way up dirt, looking for a cheeky little push on through from that construction site entrance. And already this aggressive push from the Wolves, first minute in, and they're essentially sitting above and right next to the site.
Right next to the side, indeed. Yeah, this is the time for them to really push. And, well, with Cardi going down pretty early, this is not the most ideal situation. There is still an attempt at the pressure, and, yeah, at least the diffuser has been retrieved. But that is not the kind of, well, operator that you want to really lose in the early stages, considering that, well, that's your smokes, that's your area denial as well. And now the Ram is starting to get pressured. Now there's pressure from up above, and now you sort of forced amidst it all, kind of make the decision. You either clear out top or you keep on pushing down below. And certainly the response seems to be that you just keep on going, keep on rolling with the punches, and it certainly rewards them.
Absolutely. 2 quick picks. Rejoice found from above, and Future found on his lurk in that second floor position. He was playing main stairs, fell back towards admin. Bottom of main stairs, CPK once again, the MVP out of the last map, looking for more. Sees a player deep in Armory. What a headshot and a ball. And now it's Riot on this clash, repositioning the Skopos in the site itself, trying to hold fast where he can. It's your primary firepower for 1 coin for the remainder of this defense, but the shield's up, clashes aggressively, but it is positioning towards bottom, made the swing towards Church,
no
and CPK has done it again.
Jeez Louise, yeah, look, CPK going absolutely ballistic there, but I also have to question, why is the bro trying to do a bikini body play there, considering that CPK definitely looks a whole lot more locked in there. Not the most ideal turnaround, not the best one to say the very least, and certainly not the best chance for OC to get started on there. Well, what would have been at least called momentum. But maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see a little bit of a better response. But I have to say that vertical game has been absolutely clinical there from Wolves.
CPK, that was nearly an ace, if not for the fact that, yeah, it was a 4-piece for him in the end, because Future, it was found elsewhere up above, but finds Rejoice from the vert, finds Paul deep in Armory, and then cleans up the last 2 kills. CPK is looking to drag his team kicking and screaming into the next round of the lower bracket, whether they like it or not.
Oh, yeah. They do not have much of a choice either here by the looks of it. But yeah, the man is locked in and ready to rumble. Swooping in to bring in a Deimos as well certainly points at, well, in this capacity, at least the way how we can read this, that he's feeling pretty confident as well, wanting to maybe double down on this. Or maybe they just don't want to really take too many chances, too many risks here as well, as that could be interpreted that way as well, because Demos does introduce quite a fair bit of the, I guess, certainty when it comes down to just information or knowledge gather, but it is a very much of a double-edged sword pick. So going onwards, I'm looking at the Sens pick as well, which has been actually a pretty much of an increasing pick in recent days, and I'm very much excited to see how that pick will really play on out. Whereas on the side of OC, a bit of a dip into the trap meta with the introduction of Thorn, and potentially maybe try to synergize alongside with Tubarão.
I think Arfang already has copped a bit of love, but an aggressive push here by CPK. Looks to swing into cash, and he finds his one, but Cardi is the price that's paid. Recap swings for more. Unfortunately, CPK can't double down. Play it in bathroom. It's Demos who finds himself a great swing to clear things out in towards Jim. Has big line of sight there in towards construction. Finds shots on. That's your right. It's Ryder. Your Tubarão throws the Nitro cell out, but he's got no HP to work with, and the plant will go down in bedroom, courtesy of Arfang, who does just hold on, but he's dropped. It might have been team damage, if anything. Recap will get that trade at the very least. An aggressive push on here. It's Gundam in a 1v2. He's found some big clutches before. Denies the stun. Finds a swing onto one. 26 seconds left to go. One player in Gym. Who gets guns up first? It's Recap and Ryder. What goes down is not the defense. It's a great attack there from the Wolves.
Wolves once again solidifying their presence here. And the stat that you've mentioned earlier, the 9 wins over 18 wins on defense, certainly it's now starting to get, well, a little bit stat boosted here as well, courtesy of Wolves, as they are actually rolling really, really well here. They're managing to keep things in the run, albeit, mind you, still very much of a down to the very last moment of a play, down to the very last second, down to the 1v1s. But ultimately, it is Wolves that end up pushing the play here and pushing their advantage here to the fullest. So, look, staring at all of this, staring at this setup, I'm wondering, are we going to see a bit of a return on the play here? Is there going to be much of a comeback to life, or maybe some just in general signs of life here out of OC, or is this going to fizzle out just about as rapidly as it did once the final round of Bank really came?
Statistically, if things carry on the way they did and OC win the next 4 rounds, we would be on the money. It would still be a 33% attacker-sided win rate, but with the momentum under the belt for the Wolves, I'd imagine that the progress is not slowing down anytime soon. They have a commanding grip on Clubhouse so far. They seem to be checking all the boxes that they need to and approaching both basement and gym bedroom so far. You'd imagine CCTV cache is going to be much the same as it is, again, the traditional defender site. That is the one that you're going to see the most play on.
Yeah, exactly that. Now, moving onwards, quite a heavy setup as well around the catwalk, as well as that the lounge as well is pretty heavily fortified, courtesy of the castle of SD Gundam, as the man wanting to get a little bit more ground to really contest, to be able to really fight back as much as that can possibly be done. Things could get pretty rough if he's not too careful. Already, with the breaches now up and running, that opens up quite a fair few of the angles as well to keep an eye out for. And for Zafia of CPK, he's ready to go ballistic and wants to go in swinging, but fortunately without much of a support, without much of the, well, distraction even, things might get a bit rough for him to make the actual move happen.
Well, currently Rejoice deep in office is waiting, and Edmund knows full well that there's likely a push coming, but he's going to work his way through Con, sneak his way back onto the site even. You could see CPK wanted to find that player lurking on the far side of the second floor, but was unable to do so. He's able to get clear now. Ace on the tools. What a shot from Ryder. Drops your ace. So, that Tubarão might delay things even further, but the first ace did go out, so I think they have opened up that con wall at the very least.
A little bit more of a sight line. I'm wondering if there's much of a return to form. At least one man advantage here for OC. They just need to ensure that they're holding. They need to keep those crossfires rolling, as well, as this will be very much a crucial point for them to keep on rolling with. Drones start coming to come on in. There's the drone out. That's one frag, but that was a dangerous swing and could have gone either way. Frag grenade to go out. Rejoice is still very much staying alive. The shots will be coming through straight to the ankles. That will be shutting things down. Another one bites the dust. All of a sudden, it's a 3v3. 30 seconds remaining. There is a push coming up from the downstairs, and the red stairs are very much of a heavy and a heated point of contention.
Yeah, I mean, CBK out on that CCTV window, looking aggressively. Demos, he's coming up that red stairs position, but a swing out from Future. Denies that push on through. Gundam caught in a crossfire, but it's Ryder trade back once again. An aggressive push from Recap, can't get it done. Is Ryder with that AR-15, locks things down from CCTV. And the momentum shifts in a big way. And OneCoin get themselves a much needed round.
Ooh. Yeah, very much of a needed breakthrough, as well as if that round would have went the opposite way, things would have gone very much sideways. And despite even the win, they decide to go in for the tech timeout. They need to get a little bit more of just a little bit more of a swing, a little bit more of just a mental reset as well. And one would hope that the coach as well will be giving a little bit more of a just a bit of a pep talk to just get them, tuned in, get them to really hone in onto what really needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And well, hopefully from there, they will be able to start really bringing it slowly but surely all back. But whereas on the side of Wolves, well, they have the momentum. They just need to keep things rolling. They cannot allow this to really get out of hands, because OC have a very funny tendency. The moment things starting to get if the moment things are eased up, that's when they are able to claim even more.
And I really respect the use of that tactical timeout there by Mingra. He's very much one that has been for it, even off the back of a round when we see teams just hold that tac timeout till it's, beyond that point of return, when you're sitting down and it's 6-2 or 6-3, whatever, and then you hold it and then you still lose anyway. Calling it early. You've just won a round, you've got a bit of momentum back, you've reset the mental. Use that tac timeout, coach gets in your ears, starts amping things up, getting the vibes going high. And off a round like that, that could be exactly the sort of momentum shift that OneCoin need to really ramp this clubhouse up.
Yeah, clubhouse is going to get pretty dangerous here. Looking onwards, though. Few of the setups to come on in. Once again, it's the Scopos making the reappearance. Last time we didn't really get to see much of a result, and Paul, unfortunately, still yet to really keep it at a positive KD as well. So, one would hope that maybe this time the Rome will really pay its dividends. In reality, though, well, going into the attack, Wolves are introducing a fairly similar lineup that they did back on the first round, and they managed to really sneak this one away. CPK went absolutely ballistic on Ram, and well, he once again gets to keep the reins of it once more. So I'm wondering if there is any much of a continuation to his performance here, because things might get pretty heated pretty quickly if he gets to run away with some more frags now.
Boss drops the drone, the robot, right outside of the bathrooms on the first floor towards Bart, and it's been spotted, it's been cleared. Recap is going to utilize that pretty darn quickly as the Dockerby get those cams in position to be controlled by Wolves. Logic bomb going out as well. He's looking to get some info here. Flores with those drones trying to blow up what they can, trying to clear out what they can. But you can see all of OneCoin hunkered down at the minute.
Good down indeed, though, setting up a few of the rotations, which could still very much end up being a bit more of a double-edged sword. If the hatch at least stays unchecked, things could get pretty problematic. Now, moving into the second half of the round, still yet to find a frag, but already quite a fair bit of openings have been found. Wolves chipping away at the overall ground here. They got a pretty steady setup for the hatches play, but I am yet to see actually any sort of dirt tunnel push or any sort of even blue stairs pressure to be applied, which could mean problems if not addressed promptly. But at least it looks like at least for now, the game plan for the next few seconds is to try to at least poke out at least a frag to then snowball off the back of.
Yeah, it's all opened up. But I mean, the biggest problem for one coin at the minute is there is no clear-cut answer to Arfang on this Monty right now. There is a Nitro Sand in the hands of Rioter, but that's about as good as it gets. A Logic Bomb being funneled here by Recap as they just blitz their way on towards the basement. Into the objective, big swing in towards Church, but the shots are off the money. Recap overcommits. Arfang's on the plant, but it's Rioter get the answer back. It's Gundam. He's on the tools. Rioter's found a double for himself, and it is just an absolute meat grinder here. As Demos, the last one alive, will at least answer back, deny the flawless round, but with 13 seconds to go and 4 people to find, this is far too much even for a Flores to get done. And what a defense for one coin as they head back towards the basement, this time completely denying Wolves.
The absolute whiplash, though, I have to say, if not for the fact that that Azami survived that unfortunate spray that has came through from the side of Dokkaebi, that would have been a completely different round. That would have been an utter collapse and forced to really start things, get things moving really for the defense. But because the Azami managed to stay alive for so long, because that Dokkaebi fell after all of this, it managed to allow OC as well to finally snowball into their hand as well, and that worked out phenomenally well. So going onwards now, gotta beg for the question. Well, now it's a 2-all scoreline. Where do we go from here? How does this all pan out? How does OC really bring this back? Because they still need to keep pushing. They need another, at the very least, for comfort's sake, 2 more rounds to be won. The question being is, so far this has been such a tug of war that it's borderline impossible to really even predict as to who will even come out the victor even in this very round.
Yeah, I mean, again, statistically, a 33.33 recurring to 66.666 recurring split between attack and defensive sides. So at one coin, if they get 2 rounds, they are staying statistically true to what we've seen from Clubhouse so far in the CNL, but Wolves very much feeling like they are threatening that trend. And you look at it, a lot of traps being brought through. Oh, Gundam. Gundam wants to get ambitious. He does get shots on to Recap, but can't confirm the kill. Will fade away up towards Red Stairs, gets up onto the 2nd floor.
He does, gets to fall back, but damage has been forced. Recap now will have to take things at a little bit more of a considerate level, but we'll wait and see if that will be actually considered even for a smidge of a moment. Moving onwards, the breach has been done, but apart from that, not much else has been really progressed. No push towards the rafters. Finally, actually, we started to see some movement, and that has been given away pretty steadily. CSTV, very much free real estate, as well as the breaches are starting to come on through. The vacation of the cash room as well is going to be now introducing the cutoff of the rotations, and Wolves are very much nice and quick steady with it as they're trying to really catch some of the rotations, and ultimately Future does cop the shot as well.
That was cheeky. I'm very intrigued as to how he found that angle. Very rough one to lose as well. You're Azami, not having those keeper barricades, and as we approach the halfway mark of the round, all members just backed into a corner. 90 seconds on the clock, and they are all sitting on site at the moment.
Sitting on site indeed. Minute 24. There's still a fair bit of guns. There's still an impact grenade remaining on SD Gundam, but otherwise it's all down to the gunplay. 1 flashbang, 2 heavy hard breach charges per... a total. 1 each for Grim and the Capitao. 1 is being used. We're still yet to see, quite a fair few of the smokes on top of it all, and a lot of the defense positions are very heavily tagged, so this is gonna be a very scrappy round if OC do end up coming out the victor. A lot of information though coming out of that echo drone, and there's certainly plenty of opportunities to really catch some of the pushes off guard.
Lose one of the Okai drones, and Capital will start to send smokes and flame bolts galore in to try and cover. Swing is ambitious from Rejoice with a shotgun in hand, and Arfang and CPK find 2. Looking for the answer back, and CPK and Demos get it locked down. They buck the trend of the 30-60 split and will take themselves a 3rd.
That indeed. Now the best case scenario here for OC is only a 3-all scoreline. And now this is very much of a lifeline for them. This is what they need to stay afloat. Going into the offense, though, things might be looking a whole lot more dangerous for them, and a lot more problematic. Whereas on the side of Wolves, they are very much all nice and comfortable so far by the looks of it, keeping things nice and steady. I mean, the slowdown, yeesh. That's retirement post sort of material, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, it has been a very contentious run, that's to say the least, and Ryder has been able to turn it on a couple of times to keep the team within sniffing distance of at least a lead, but now it's going to be a tie at the very minimum. And you look at it, CCTV cash once again, Tubarão in play. There's limited tools to try and deny with that Bandit and Cade being banned out.
Yeah, now went onwards. I'm wondering how things would have looked if, say, the bans would have been slightly different. If, for example, the breach denial would have been allowed through, if the rounds would have looked a little bit, well, I guess, more comfortable for OC. And if such, well, is the question now then after that would be begged to be asked if it is very much of maybe even borderline a crutch as well to be used. But regardless, breach is already starting to come on through, Panda. The ace is now getting to work, and this attack from Wolves feels a whole lot more methodical. We are getting a bit more of a sort of a double front play here out of the Wolves roster, and so far quite a fair bit of info as well. Solid Snake as well confirms a good amount of positioning as well.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been as utilized I potentially would have thought it would have been today, the Snake, but Wolves very keen to go to the Snake operator and find that information, but it's Cardi. Finds the first pick. Rejoice having a really rough run of it, and unfortunately it's not going to get much better for Paul as this Monty is up on him on the catwalk here. He's in a dangerous spot. Luckily, he has support Future. Gets one, but at the cost of so much of his HP. That is your hard breach gone. Primarily, it's down to those secondary hard breach gadgets. Poor Paul is backed into a corner here trying to find something, and Recap now lurking to try and assist his shield operator up on that catwalk to confirm the kill onto this Azami. Oh, it's a dangerous dance.
It is, in fact, a very dangerous one indeed. Already Future claiming yet another frag. There goes the Monty as well. It's a 3 versus 2, though. There's still some running left to be done. Wolves could still bring it all back. I say this, the Gundam, the re-swings, and that's the head taken off. It's all down to CPK, a minute remaining. The man, the myth, the legend will need to connect all of the shots, but the re-swing is just too sturdy there. OC getting to keep themselves in the running here, as it is in fact a 3-all as we head into the halftime break, as well, teams get now a bit more of a time to discuss as to what needs to be done.
I mean, look, it was a very narrow run thing, a bad game of ring around the rosy for Wolves Esports. Spells disaster. I think it was Recap who was in the site there. If he gets the kill onto Paul, it's very much a workable situation. He can then look to transition aggression on top red, but going into the half, it's an interesting spot.
Yeah, right? So, club defense will be saying using a lot of castle for holding top floor, a lot of irony for holding top floor as well. So we have to make sure our plan how to reaction for that, right? If you guys want to clear top, everyone try to focus top floor and then fall back, right? Easy.
OK， 就是我们要预判对面的行动，比如说教练说对面很喜欢用龙鳞板，还有一些如你就去手楼上手顶，那我们这个时候就要开始要规划好我们怎么去应对这个东西，把计划制定好，然后按照计划去走，对不对？如果我们要全清，就我们就多5个人去打他，去清楼上，然后把
没有那么大了，他们那个维斯特只能用3吨冲我们。So Jordan, we can just fall back early, pivot, execute because the place is really annoying to clear a space. You know, they have like one beastman Jordan. So we just like fall back like and play turtle is like quite good to play them because they can't really like shoot the phone trap as we see, and he can only like he's so aggressive, so we don't have to take the one run with the shield, just let him execute and he can do anything. Jordan, okay? Yep. And 如果我觉得他去能打龟的，能放那个，我先用龟那个，看一看他们执行压力值多少次。OK， 然后我们再去master 打一个 aggressive 一点就可以了。然后 Jordan you can kill them， 然后我们在 CC 那边就没什么问题，两个都可以。可是美扎顿他们车库很难站进来，他们只能从对点推。那阿峰看你要沟通好一点 ，OK？ OK， 加油，加油，加油！
And confidence, if nothing else, in the voices of the Wolves as they go 3-3.5 on their own map. Cthulhu coming into it. The bends could definitely shape how things play out here. Now, Ying and Kaid have been almost perma-banned. There we go. Ying has been taken out on the side of Wolves on the defense. Bandit, the second most banned defender, has also been taken out here by OneCoin.
Certainly so, yeah. I mean, for all the right reasons, both of these operators in the current state of affairs are pretty strong and very consistently strong as well. So it would take quite a fair few buffs to the other operators, or maybe even a nerf to the current ones, to change things around. And a Mira and a Monty being banned on out is arguably it's a bit of a curious one, considering that there's nowadays so many options how to clear out a Mira position, but understandably you would want to get rid of the Mira pick. And well, with Monty, that's just one more of the shields out of the way. The problem being, though, Panda, there's at least another 3, if not more, shield operators that you can run. So it's not a be-all end-all ban, I would have to say.
I mean, especially given that you look back at Bank and Riot almost exclusively went to the Blitz instead. I don't think we saw him play the Monty. Oh, no, there was one.
Oh, there was a Monty appearance.
He played at least the one Monty, but it Blitz more often than not, so I don't think he's going to be suffering all that greatly. And in terms of overall contribution to the round, I think you're going to get a little bit more out of the Blitz, at least going into the basement, clear out some of these close corners. But in saying that, you look at the defense, Thorn, Goyo, Smoke, Azami with Mai. There's just so many tools that this OC roster will need to get through.
Yeah, a lot of the util clear, and at the very least, it's good to see that OC are not really wasting their time in terms of the push. The Buck is very much working it pretty quickly, and yeah, it appears that we might be actually getting a bit of a cheeky rehost by the looks of it, and maybe not. Well, yeah, we are. By the looks of it, it seems a few of the people just eased off. Oh well.
Just another momentum reset, why not?
Yeah.
But I mean, look, 3-3 half. I don't think it's the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. The attacks have been a little bit less impressive, I'd have to say, than the defenses, at least on Clubhouse. It's going to be interesting to see if the same level of success does translate going onto the attack for OneCoin, but on Bank, they did somewhat struggle to really get things. It wasn't until there was a massive overcommitment by Wolves that allowed some momentum into the OneCoin camp that really threw things back.
Yeah, well, maybe a chance to really bring it all back, though I'm wondering how will really OC approach this for the push, for the attack. We did get to see a cheeky Buck pick, which I very much enjoy and appreciate, considering that in the right hands, Buck can be a very much of a deadly entity. And I mean, you pair him up with somebody like even Ram, you have a borderline limitless really opportunity in terms of the soft breach, and a very remote soft breach as well. So I'm wondering how really OC will get to force this, whether they are looking to take this at a bit more of an aggressive manner. I would love to see a little bit more of a spread out sort of play for them. Go for 2-2 sort of push, on multiple positions. Go take the dirt tunnel. Go contest the blue stairs and the oil pit. There's plethora of variations of how to do it. And honestly, I very much rate that. This is in fact a mood on a Thursday evening. This is exactly what at least I feel like I was doing, at least whilst I was at work.
Nah, this is secret Minga N tech. It's being leaked now, unfortunately, to the stream. From now on, this is all you are going to see. Yeah,
the team.
it's all about generating momentum. That's it. This is it's secret tech. It's about generating that momentum. It's about centripetal force. And I mean, unfortunately, from now on, that tech is leaked. We're going to see coaches across the globe in the R6 esports scene doing it. And look, all the blood has now flown to Mingarin's head. That is the whole point. Get that blood up there, get that brain working, and he's figured it out. He has cracked the code. He knows exactly what the team needs to do to get this to a chalet.
Exactly that. Well, hopefully we'll get some ideas for really what to bring, what to do for for the chalet. Because look, if Clubhouse does end up converting into a win for them, this would be I would say nearly a generational comeback, considering that Wolves kind of claimed the end of Bank pretty convincingly, and now on their own map pick, it would be almost a surprise if they would end up falling through.
I mean, look, it has been a pretty consistent trend that we've seen in the past, you know, just map choices being traded out back and forth, and then it really just comes down to that decider and who knows that third map best. I mean, teams on stage trying to get this all sorted so we can get back into the game. Personally, my favorite, you know, tech timeout position is the full recline. Unfortunately, Mingarin, the only one to commit. Actually, it looks like we might have. Yeah, we did. We had someone full recline, almost slipped out of their seat even.
I mean, gotta occasionally, you know, get some adrenaline going. So I suppose that's one of the ways to get to that and you know, get your heart rate pumping. But yeah, yeah, gotta stress test, you know, a little bit of everything, even yourself, and certainly, at least on the side of Wolves, look, the stress is certainly very much there by the looks of it. At least they're not particularly too chuffed just yet about how things been going, and yeah, the coach himself is just sort of waiting.
He's even trying to yeah, look, they're trying to copy Mingarin. Full recline. They're trying to get that momentum going, but it's just not there for the Wolves, unfortunately. At least not at the minute. Oh dear, yeah, the full recline has been engaged. It's unfortunately seeming that it might be a little bit longer to fix than initially anticipated. So we'll throw it to a quick break. On the other side, we head back to Clubhouse to see how this series plays out. Don't go anywhere. Coming back into it, and Wolves trying desperately to close this one out in 2-0 fashion. Cthulhu on their defensive half. A lot of tools removed from the arsenal for 1 coin. We currently sit at 3 apiece here on their opponent's map.
Yeah, 3-all. So far, the scoreline, Wolves, they need to keep things really in a rolling, and I'd say going into the defense that they might actually find themselves in a very comfortable spot. I mean, we're looking at a bit more of an expanded as well lineup, Panda, in terms of the defense here from them. The introduction of the Maestro, or rather reintroduction Maestro, as well as the Melusi making the reappearance as well, plus the Denari. We're looking to really turn this into a bit more of a, you know, a deadly labyrinth, to say the least, really here on the side of Wolves. On the side of OC, though, sticking to what arguably you could, you know, call normality. You know, the Flores, the Ace, the Grim. Arguably the biggest sort of difference here is the Brava, which, I mean, to this day is still one of the more tamer picks. I would have to argue.
Yeah, but lots of value to be found for sure. Going into these defending operators, a Maestro, a Melusi, even just absolute stocks to be found with those clutch drones. Taking away an Evil Eye, taking away one of those Melusi gadgets, just make things a little bit harder, less comfortable. But as you can see already, out on that porch position, threatening in towards the bomb site. True, 1 coin are not wasting any time.
Not at all. Nice and quick and steadfast is the entry. The only thing is that you can't really push towards the red stairs, well, easier, but the push is now starting to make, well, rather set itself up. Full control of the CCTV, potentially soon the control of the cache, and by the looks of it, construction may come through as well very soon. Recap is looking to try to hold things down as much as possible, but the Fenrir gadgets actually coming in pretty clutch here as well to just try to delay the swings, the pushes. And with half a round already done and dusted, well, that's construction given away, but it's given away without any losses, which is a big, big boon here for the defensive Wolves.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a slightly more aggressive hold in towards construction, but that's been cleared out now. They wanted to be they wanted to be the ones playing a little more off the front foot, but the Rotero drone, I'm not quite sure if that was the intention. I think it may have just ran out of time, but almost some friendly fire off the gadgetry. 56 seconds left to go, and you look at the positions, OneCoin are about to feed into the meat grinder because they're running out of time.
Yeah, running out of time very rapidly and very quickly. 45 seconds remaining. Now the gunfights are starting to slowly come on through. Now the poking is starting to happen. Future copped a little bit of damage. What I'm assuming is off the back of the, potentially maybe even just the Denari trip. But otherwise, the swing to come on through. Recap very ballsy on the reswing, but blind now in full and needs to really stay alive as much as possible. The swings to bring on out. The Deagle is out. Now comes in the dire moments, but does come on through in full fruition with the C4 as well. And amidst it all, it is just an utter chaos. 2 versus 4. Future is the last man standing. 8 seconds remaining. Pistol in hand. Recap down. But there's still 2 more players remaining and unable to get the plant in the most safest position. Wolves do come out the victor.
What the heck happened to Paul? That man fell to his death, apparently. Oh, that's a bit rough. Unfortunately, it seems that we will never know. Either way, a round for the Wolves to start off the half, and again, statistically, this is the side that they are favoured on. Coming into it, basement defense, Thorn, Goyo, Smoke, Wemai, and Azami to come through once again. Trap operators in spades to make this once again. It was a meat grinder last time. This time it's a Claymore.
Time to Claymore indeed. Well, 3-4. 3 points away from claiming the victory in the full set and sending OC, well, to finalize the overall run in the playoffs as well, which will be a rough turnaround if they end up falling through like that. But look, regardless, it is still a pretty phenomenal turnaround. They still managed to really showcase themselves in the playoffs if they fall, but we're far from being over yet. For now, Blitz push, Ryder once again back on his shield roll, now looking to try to get some early heads up at an early advantage, and by the looks of it, not even a speck of a pressure from Wolves on the top floor, so this should be a pretty quick conclusion to the clear out of the top floor.
Exactly it. They've made some good time at least getting into the building. Now it's about clearing out the external forces on that defense and getting into a position to start threatening that vert. And that's the power of Gundam on that buck, like you were talking about. Not only can you establish the vert, but you can do it from office even. That extra range that the skeleton key offers.
Yeah, the skeleton key will be pretty powerful in terms of just being able to really make quick rotations, and the quick openers for the push, plus the secondary heart breach as well is absolutely perfect here as well for that purpose to bring. So now with the breaches starting to come on through, well, that's your kitchen hatch just almost about to be done and dusted, and Buck starts to get to work really as well on the flooring. Surprised we don't really get to see the Ram either here making an appearance as well. Clearing out the whole kitchen hallway would be absolutely perfect here as well, but for the time being, bit of a rotation coming around from Wolves. They're looking to just reinforce themselves. The Azami barricades are going to be really putting in the hard work, and will a drop down into the oil pit out of all the places is going to be the potential next move courtesy of OC.
Yeah, I mean, no clash being picked up on the defense is an interesting one. It was so integral to OneCoin in their defense, especially down in the basement with a shield like this blitz coming through. They do have the tools to deal with it, so it's not going to be an absolute rout like you'd imagine, but just no trade whatsoever in terms of damage even.
Not at all. At the very least, presence on the main stairs, but 40 seconds remaining. OC need to really find their footing, and very rapidly. Ryder will need to really frontline the push very quickly within the next couple seconds, as otherwise they will be left with no ground at all. Drop down into the oil pit now, finally starts to come on through, but where is the rest of the team? Why is your Thatcher pushing all alone? And that is a death, that is a kill at least there, but it is all, nearly all for nothing. No, Cardi does fall, there is a drop down, there's a denial, no, that's the diffuser as well down, that's your 8 seconds remaining, and all of it all of a sudden falls apart. That is all nearly done. No, the shotgun comes through, and it's 2-1, and it's all done and dusted. Wolves coming out with yet another point.
An egregious miscalculation there from Ryder. He drops down with shield on back, trying to go for a turtle plant, not anticipating that there was a smoke sitting right at the back of Armory, watching him do so. And from there, it just goes from bad to worse. Your buck then follows, and SD Gundam falls soon after the fact. And a massive miscalculation gives Wolves momentum that puts them within sniffing distance of victory.
Exactly that. They are very much locked in, very much smelling the end of the run. They smell the blood, and they're wanting to hunt down their prey here. For all the right intents and purposes, yeah, you can see the overall just the look on the faces of some of the OC players. The realization of the just the overall, I guess call it despair, really starting to settle in on the faces of OC players as they're starting to realize that, well, that buffer of safety has been completely sort of falling apart, and, well, without really any return on the on their time investment. So now attempting to really switch things around, now looking to really try to make it a little bit more of an aggressive play. The introduction of Blackbeard certainly signals for that. On top of that, as well, the introduction to of the gridlock potentially to be played in a very aggressive manner to try to isolate the push, to try to shut down some of the rotations, and or at the very least slow those down.
Absolutely, Thermite making his way out to open things up a little bit easier into CCTV. It's not the cleanest cut approach by any stretch of the imagination. Still with that Goyo in play in the castle, like they had talked about at halftime, the Wolves, to try and cut off those long lines, make it a little bit harder. But with this Blackbeard, if they can brute force him in towards the objective, he becomes a real threat at close range with limited tools to deal with him.
Exactly that, yeah. Well, limited tools galore, at least here for OC, as they're gonna try to, well, try to make do, really, with what they can. Breach, I believe, just finalized as well, and that is a pretty hefty one as well, which should allow a fair few swings to happen, but hesitancy towards the breach. In comes the swing, but oh, dodging the gunfight. Arfang decides to really fall on back as well. Now it's a bit of a problem. Now the Azami is able to back up, and the red stairs have become an even more of a lethal position to work with. So now they have to reassess. Now they have to reposition and potentially even fall back just outright, because yeah, those gridlock stingers, or rather track stingers, won't really be staying around for too long, as Azami has the ability to really shut those out. And well, finally the garage is starting to be opened up, but I mean, already more than half a round drained. I'm not entirely sure if OC are able to really bring it all back.
They still haven't dealt with Arfang, and they got this Azami just gatekeeping that storage door, meaning full well that Paul can't get into position to cut this flank off. They can't even get someone onto that rappel. Arfang, he swings deep, finds the kill anyway. In the final minute here of round number 9, this defense is now turning the script into an aggressive push. Arfang for a second. He has literally flipped the script here on OneCoin, who were looking to deal with his position, only to fall, unfortunately, on his sword. And Paul, does he know that CPK, does he know that Death's around the corner? A third for Arfang, and the Paul push goes awry. CPK keeps him locked in. Future to fall to. One player remaining, the gridlock. Nothing doing here in the face of a 5-strong team. Do they give it to Arfang? He's looking for it, spots the elbow, but Paul shuts him down. Soup for Shorty in hand in a 1v4 with 14 seconds to go. Cthulhu, Wolves will move on to map and series point.
Good lord. For OC, from things go from bad to worse. It's a problem galore here for them. They unable to really find much of a response and having such a rough time with just adjusting any of their really pushes to anything, and it's just been a really rough turnaround really for them in just trying to regain any sort of momentum. No tactical timeout yet to come around, and well, a dire last moment ban of Azami as well, as they're wanting to just try to get something going for them. Once again, pick of a Bullets, pick of a Demos. Once again, it very much echoes the dire picks that came on through in the last few rounds of Bank as well.
Yeah. And what could be the final round, at least for the season kickoff, for OneCoin, could be what propels Wolves into the next round of the lower bracket up against King Zero Esports. And it has been a valiant effort from OneCoin. They found themselves in the position on Bank. They brought it very, very close. Brought it back to 6-5, in fact. Unfortunately, a funnel into a choke point spelt disaster at the hands of, well, the man who clutched up big in that last round. Arfeng locks it down on Tubarao and Bank. Can OneCoin bring it back this time around as well?
Well, one would hope that this would be the prime opportunity, because otherwise they are all out of options. This is do or die here as well for them. But Wolves, they're very much keen. They want to keep on progressing. This is their game to take at the moment, and for OC, things are looking very much grim here. Vertical setup from Wolves as well. Recap is very keen on finding some sort of a drop on the offense as well, going into the supply room as well. But the breach to come on through will be actually pretty steadily open without much of a contention either, and initial shots caught with his pants down. CPK is gone. And that is the big carry as well of the team. Now there is potentially even a chance here that OC could really just swarm the opposition, but the rest of the team shouldn't be discredited either.
Recap. Top Red has a big job on his hands. You can see the player coming through Catwalk. There's one down in storage as well. This Denari just slowing Rider's progress a little bit. Oh, the rotation into Cash is so cleanly timed. Recap unspotted. In fact, they still think he's lurking around Top Red at the moment. We'll just clean out some of that utility. They've got control at least towards Cash, and this Denari doing work to flush out some of these cheeky spots that the hiding is happening in.
Yeah, a lot of cheeky spots to be played. I mean, half a round remaining, and there's still Cash to be cleared out in full. There is as well a flank from down below, and that is your Deimos out of the equation as well. That's your flank watch. Now you're exposed from the ground floor and on the flank as well. Now you have to dedicate at least one of the attackers towards watching the back, because otherwise it'll fall through. Demos at least is able to really reclaim one more frag as well, and that is Ryder out of the equation as well. It's all down to the 3 players of OC. 3 more for Wolves to claim the lower bracket quarterfinals as well. And the flashbang starting to roll in. Now we're looking for even more frags.
Oh, Demos does fall. Rejoice, a great little angle. Paul swings aggressively. Finds Cardi, puts it into a 3v2. Future drops it, and Paul drops the closer. And one more round at the very least here for OneCoin. Much like Bank, they claw it closer to overtime.
One step closer. One round closer as well to the dream. Wolves not really too yet ready to celebrate. That's not yet all the happy vibes in comparison to what we usually see from the likes of King Zero. Here, they're all about the full seriousness here. And in the meantime, on the side of OC, look, they are happy to still be able to fight back, still able to really keep on pushing and pushing non-stop. Now, bottom floor. I'm wondering if there is much of a return, really, if there is still much of a fuel in the OC roster. Looking at the lineup, introduction of Solid Snake yet again. is looking to come on through. Meanwhile, a double down on Wolves side into the trap meta. We're looking at the absolute nightmare scenario, honestly, Panda. The Denari, the Melusi, the Ella, the Thorn, the Goyo, each and every one of those operators promising a world of pain and frustration the moment any sort of contact with the utility is being made.
Absolutely. It is going to hurt regardless. They bring the blitz. Hibana, Sledge. An interesting choice. I would have thought, yeah, your Buck Securities just offering that little bit more, being able to open the floor from office as well. But I mean, look, the biggest problem was that smoke once again sitting deep in Armory towards Ashwall. They drop the hatch and both Buck and Blitz just feed into him.
That could be big. That could be very much the play here as well. Well, the Blitz is already very much ready to rumble. The Yellow Mines here looking to potentially maybe bait out the need to spend a little bit more time on some of the pushes, and certainly it seems like it is working, at least slowing things down. Ryder at least a little bit unsure as to where to make the push happen. There is already presence in the garage. Double team push. Paul looking to maybe pivot around towards the kitchen with 2 minutes remaining. Not entirely sure what is Ryder doing himself. I've just been wanting to face check quite literally each and every spot, but at this stage you don't really have much of a time. You have to start really setting yourselves up for the attack towards the actual site, for the push. At the very least, the drones are starting to confirm some of the positions. C4s as well could have been the danger, but thankfully for the offense, it's only the impact grenades.
Absolutely. But this Twitch drone getting some immense value, clearing out the gadgetry. Yeah, that's big. If he can find the Vulcan canister here on dirt, that would be everything. But no, drone is going to be cleared. Minute 24 on the clock, and they've made some good progress in towards the site. But now it's about that closer to this round to make sure it gets done cleanly. Oh!
That already. First frag that got traded out, and we get a bit of an instant replay as well, for that matter. Quick kill onto CPK, once again, promising the opportunity to claim the 5th point here for OC. This has been a big deal in the previous round as well. Getting rid of him allowed a lot more gunfights to actually go the right way. A few more openings to be made to clear out the safety off the bar wall. 45 to go. From here, it's all down to the gunfight. It seems, though, there's still 2 each of the impact grenades between the Ella and the Goyo, so opportunities for a quick rotation reset up could be there, or even just distraction on the shield. But so much vertical, so much opportunities here to really just keep on shutting things down. And well, Demos continues the push.
He's dancing, duck and dive under that verticality, looking to push bottom main stairs. Aggressive swing, headshot on the Future to force the 4v4. Player pushes into Moto. Can they find an avenue in? 14 seconds to get it done. Cardi looking to hold bottom blue. Spotted, but the shots exchanged. Neither player falls. With 8 seconds left to go, someone has to go for a plant. SD Gundam, Paul there to boot. 4 seconds to go. Where's the diffuser? Where's Ryder? He needs to get it down. And no, he was a half second off, and Wolves will take the series.
Oh my gosh. The actual shutdown in the worst way possible. OC got so close to shutting things down. They were there. They managed to flood in. They did not have enough time, and that really was the end game for them. Unfortunately, that is their run in the CNL playoffs. Done and dusted, eliminated very, very early into the run, and in a very upsetting turnaround for them as well. Though on the side of Wolves, though, they really get to, well, now test themselves. Up next for them is King Zero Esports, and well, that one I feel will be a very rough experience for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does not get any easier from here, but I mean, credit to Mingaren's crew. This one coin roster staring down the barrel of a 6-3 scoreline. Both maps were at least able to mount somewhat of a comeback, somewhat of a resurge, rather. It was not them going quietly into the night. Unfortunately, it's still Wolves that progress. They will take on, like you said, King Zero Esports. But Cthulhu, that is not all today. We have Tyloo and My Queen seeing who joins Four Angry Men in that lower quarter final. And if that game was a very entertaining one, this next one's sure to be as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be an absolutely packed one. Tyloo and My Queen is going to be a bit of a bum burner. Whereas on one hand, Tyloo get the opportunity to really push themselves to the maximum, to really prove themselves that they very much belong in the upper echelon of the CNL. Whereas on the side of My Queen, it's the chance to really be the underdog.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of hype around Four Angry Men coming into it. They topped their group essentially. Played some phenomenal Siege, but so far it's been clean sweeps across the board. Tyloo and My Queen, everything to do, everything to prove coming into this final match of the evening. And I mean, look, Tyloo, there are some big stakes. That is a big name coming out of, Central Asian esports. They've got a reputation to maintain.
Absolutely. So yeah, a lot of pressure, a lot of performance pressure as well here on both of the teams, because honestly, for each one of those rosters, they started having a pretty decent developmental momentum going into the final few days of the group stage, going into the playoffs. Things have been, quite rough. You look back at the overall bracket. My Queen got absolutely slapped by EDG, a 7-1 to 7-4 conclusion. Looking at Tyloo, a slightly more promising matchup against King Zero, where they did manage to really take out at least the consulate in a 7-5 fashion, but otherwise it was a bit of a grim turnaround at the end for them. KZ managed to take it all out in 2-1. So honestly, going into this matchup, I would say Tyloo would probably be the favorites by a slight margin, really.
Yeah, it wasn't a massive difference in records. 1-0-0-3 for My Queen, 2-0-0-2 for Tyloo, but in all honesty, it is anyone's guess how the rest of this lower bracket plays out. You've got five technically hungry teams looking to get themselves that lower final, to get to the grand final, to match up against potentially all gamers or Edward Gaming, assuming they can buck that trend and overthrow them going into what is already a very stacked bracket.
Oh yeah. The upper final is going to be absolutely intense, but after this break, though, we will get back to even more intensity, even more high stakes, as the second round of lower bracket will continue after this.
获得了本场比赛的胜利，我们也非常荣幸的邀请到了 CPK 选手来参与到这一轮的赛后采访环节。先和屏幕前的各位干员们打个招呼吧。
Hello， 大家好，我是狼队的 CPK。
好的，那么在这一轮的赛后采访环节之前 ，CPK， 你还记不记得我们赛前有一个特别的仪式？走吧，既然战胜了 OC， 我们就要灭掉他们的战队灯。来，导播老师准备切画面，3、2、1，请按灯。 好的，再次回到赛后采访环节。图一银行对手选图，我发现你们是选择进行了先开，是出于对对手的针对呢，还是咱们队伍自己的小巧思设计呢？
因为我们队伍觉得，如果进攻能先拿几分的话，可能防守会更有士气一些，所以我们就选择进攻先开。
哦，原来如此，确实是有自己的设计在的。那么评价一下今天全队的协同配合、信息搜索和道具互换，最满意的亮点又是什么呢？
我觉得今天主要是大家的沟通都非常到位，把自己的想法都说出来了。以前可能搜集到的信息会漏掉，今天对沟通非常满意。
原来如此，因为是团队的配合，所以沟通是非常重要的。那么赛中觉得自己有没有能够做得更好的回合呢？这些问题是否能够在短暂的场中休息快速调整，并且解决掉呢？
我觉得大家在拿到赛点后，可能都有一定的紧张，导致没法立刻结束掉这张地图的比赛，所以我们主要是调整一下心态吧。
是的，心态的调整是非常非常重要的，尤其到了赛点环节，双方队伍都是非常紧张的。那么今天大家的协同和配合都是非常到位的。休赛期间是否针对我们的一些战队细节问题做出调整呢？
就像刚刚说的，我们休赛期间主要还是在训练赛中针对练习沟通这一块。
是的，那么看出来今天确实是赢得非常漂亮。那么再次恭喜狼队获得了本场比赛的胜利。那么精彩的对决还在继续，我们稍后赛场再见吧。
Unfortunately, another team sent home here from the CNL season kickoff. Cthulhu, 1 coin. They almost clawed it back to overtime. 2 maps in a row. But Wolves Esports had a statement to make here in the lower bracket, and they send another team home.
Absolutely so, yeah. I believe actually OC will be our very first team to be sent off out of the loser bracket. Round 1. One more to be, well, sacrificed today to the Siege Gods, and, well, it is looking to be Tai Lu versus My Queen, but man, for OC, this is a rough turnaround, and even Mingaran as well just recently posted as well, saying that no major for him this time, considering that him being part of the teams like Enterprise as well, he was able to pretty consistently keep on making the major. So quite an unfortunate turnaround for the man, but well, look at maybe it does provide a little bit more time to really start, well, cooking with the strats here, because so far it wasn't just been just the basics and the readjustment that has been really forcing the team to suffer.
Yeah, I mean, Mingaran, a stalwart of the international competitive scene, as a key member of so many different oceanic organizations. I mean, 6 invitational top 8 with the likes of Bliss. Yeah, Enterprise, every single international event last year, just shattering the hopes and dreams of our oceanic super teams time and time again with these young underdogs. But unfortunately not able to do it here in the season kickoff for the CNL. But that match is done and dusted, of course, and I still don't know what happened to Paul there. That dude fell off a roof, unfortunately, somewhere, but unfortunately the safety rating Clubhouse, the officers were off to that day and missed an opportunity to make sure that everything was up to regulations. But Clubhouse, I mean, it's a map that Wolves definitely felt like they knew inside and out, and they played like they did.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse definitely felt a whole lot more steadier for Wolves, and yeah, they were very much prepared and ready to rumble. Apart from a couple of hiccups here and there, they were very much steady on their approach, and it worked really, really well.